really, I think the most important thing to do first of all, and I know for myself as a hairdresser myself, I like to kind of understand where the brands I'm using actually came from, you know, and why there is a brand in the first place. And Colour Wow does actually have quite an interesting kind of story behind it. I mean, I've been working in hairdressing since I was 16, well 14 actually, but 16 when I went to like a big London salon and started my training. And I was working under a guy called John Frieda, which I'm sure you're familiar with his product line. And his business partner was a woman called Gail Federici, okay? She's been in hair care for like over 30 years. She was at a company called Zotos. Do you remember, does anyone know Zotos? They make perms. I don't think they still make perms, yeah. Zotos. She actually worked at Zotos with a guy called Dr. Joe Cincotta, who was this just genius like chemist who worked with the first guy that patented the first cold perm, and you know, it's quite a fascinating story. So her and Dr. Joe were working together, and then she actually met John Frieda about 30 years ago, okay? And she, working with him, she kind of always had this mindset, even back in the day when she was like quite young, that she just wanted to like create products that would solve problems, like problem-solution products. And that's why she came out with, I'm sure you guys all know, Frizzies.
Yeah.
Frizzy serum, right? And yes, John Frieda is like a mass brand, but Frizzy serum was quite incredible because when that came out, nobody had ever even thought about putting silicone on your hair as like to solve a problem. It was like completely unique, and it was like a big, big deal, you know, because Frizzy is in the Allure Hall of Fame, everybody knows it, and yes, it's a mass brand, but when it came out, it was genius, and literally changed the landscape of hair care forever. Now, you look in any line, and every line has a frizz section in it. Pretty much all of the products now to control frizz are heavily based upon silicones and various other ingredients. And then she created Sheer Blonde, which again, at its time, was completely, like, changed that category. Now every line we look at has a blonde section in it, you know, a frizz, a blonde, a thing, just exactly how she did it. You know, so she changed the landscape of hair care. She grew that incredible brand. I mean, it was huge, and sold it like over 10 years ago, about 12 years ago now, and she was like, I'm done. She was privately owned, she made hundreds of millions of dollars. She's like, I never need to work again. She's like, and she could just float around on an island, whatever, a ship, and live on an island, I don't know, whatever she wants to do, you know. But she has this like incredible drive to really like help and solve problems, which is her whole mindset. And if she's going to do anything, it has to be done for a reason. And she was actually in the music industry. Once she'd sold John Frieda, she's very entrepreneurial. She kind of can't stop working. And she was signing these artists. She was living in Atlanta. It was all really cool, you know, doing this whole thing. And it was funny because she said all the women that were working for her, like she said, they were all getting roots. You know, all these baby boomers. And she was like, this is crazy. She's like looking, because she still thinks hair. She wrote hair cutting books, the whole thing, and she's a real like hair person. She's like, man, this is crazy. All these women need help because they're getting their color done. 10 days after they get their color done, they're getting roots, okay? And it's driving them crazy. And these women, and she's like, there's nothing out there. You know, there's nothing out there to help these women. All there was, I mean, some of you guys might be familiar. Do you remember like the Roux crayon? You'd like wet it and you'd like grind it. It's awful, it's horrendous, that stuff, right? It was, yeah, it's like this sticky, like waxy, it doesn't wash off, and then there was that like grey-free mascara stuff you got about 3 uses out of, and then it just dried up in the little thing, you know? And she's like, man, this is insane. She's like, if I could make something that could help these women in between their car appointments, oh my God, I could have a product here that could be bigger than Frizzies. And that, for her, obviously tweaked something in her mind. Hi there, morning. And so she's like, okay. And she'd worked with a lot of hairdressers. Obviously, over the years, she'd worked with the best in the John Frieda days, and Sally Hirschberg, and Kerry Warren, and John Frieda. And she'd been on all these shoots, and pretty much, I still do photo shoots with her, and she like takes over. She takes the pictures, she does the hair. I don't even get late. She's like, right, move over, I'm doing it. You know, she's very creative. And she was like working with these hairdressers that would put powder in the wigs, in all these like videos and photo shoots, you know, to make the roots look a bit darker, so the wigs would look real. And she's like, this is interesting. She's like, if I could make a powder stick to hair, this is going to be genius. So about, going back, it's like a little life story here. Don't even talk about products, but it's interesting. I think it's fascinating, especially when you guys are picking up products to use them. It's nice to know where this kind of thing is coming from. So 7.5 years ago, she comes to just a couple of us in the London salon. I was still, although she sold the company, I was still working and I was traveling with the John Frieda product company all over. And she came to us like secretly, myself and another gentleman in the salon, and said, Giles, we think we're onto something here. I want you to start trying this on your customers. It's this powder, we think it's going to cover roots in between the colour. Just put it on before the colour, and I want to know what they think. Okay, so okay, madam, I'm about to colour your hair. We've just got this secret product, and we're going to try and do it. And we like dab it on. What is that? They're like, seriously, they're like, we need that. They're like, what is that stuff? And we're like, well, you know, and they're like, well, what was funny is every time we did it, they'd be like, wow, that's amazing. Like, what is that stuff? And that's how Colour Wow was actually called Wow from that day. Like, every customer you put the stuff on would be like, wow.